Hello, Dale Beaumont here, host of Get Published TV. Welcome to the only dedicated show on the internet to help you to write, publish, and market your own best-selling book. Well, I'm thrilled because there are so many videos that are now up on Get Published TV, and every day people find out about this website and they're just shocked at the amount of value that they receive by coming along and watching a couple of the recent videos, but then being able to click on the more videos button or more shows and be able to go through the whole library of over 60 videos that we now have. So it's wonderful to get really positive comments coming through on the email and also on Facebook and Twitter. And if you've got something that you'd like to say, then please make sure that you send us a message because we love getting feedback. All right, moving on to today's topic. We're actually going to pick up from the conversation from the last video where we spoke about the all-important editing process. This is where many, especially first-time authors, really stuff things up. So make sure that you listen carefully, and if you haven't watched the last video, then go back and watch that one because it's very important. But just very quickly to summarize, if you are going to submit your book to a major publisher, your manuscript, make sure, if you're a first-time author, it's essential that you get your book edited prior to submitting it to a publisher. Very important. The next thing is make sure that you work with an editor that specializes in books. Many people stuff that up and they end up having a huge headache and they don't get the work that they pay for, the specialization, or the expertise, I should say, that they pay for. And the next one is make sure you specialize in working with an editor that specializes in your kind of books. Again, this is kind of common sense, but a lot of people mess this up. So that's the reason why I'm sharing it with you. Now that we've covered that, let me just continue to move forward and keep breaking some new ground here with continuing this conversation. So once you've found your editor, or maybe let's just deal with that, because there may be some people out there right now that are thinking to themselves, how do they find a great editor? Would you like to know how to do that? Well, I'm about to reveal to you a very, very big secret. Okay, so make sure you get your pen and paper out, take notes, because you're going to want to make sure you remember this. Inside every book, within the first sort of 3 or 4 pages, and it's normally on the left-hand side, there's a thing which we call in the industry the imprint page. So it looks like this. So you've got a couple of pages in, and what you see is a whole lot of information. I like to call it the copyright page because it's got the copyright symbol, the little C in a circle, and it's got when it was published. It's got normally about the copyright of the work, and it's got sometimes where it was, who's the distributor of the book or who the publisher is, etc., etc. Now, not always, but normally at the bottom of that list, it will have a lot of very, very useful information. It'll have things like who is the editor, it may mention their name, it may even mention an email address or a website, so you know how to contact them, which is huge. It also will mention about who the typesetting was, sometimes mentions the printer, sometimes mentions what type of paper stock it was printed in, where the cover was printed, who designed the front cover, what type of image was that on the front cover, where they got it from, a whole lot of useful information. So how do you find good editors that specialize in your type of books? Go to the imprint page, find their details. Or the other place to look for contact details is at the back of the book, or sometimes it's in the front of the book, for a thing which is called the acknowledgements. Now, in the acknowledgements, most authors will thank their editor who helped them to finalize the book and really help to bring it to life. So that's where you can find a name. Then once you've got a name, then of course go to your favorite friend Google, and you can start to find their contact information, or you can send an email to the actual author of the book and then find out the people that they actually used, or to find out you already know who they used, but send them an email saying, would you mind passing me the contact information for such and such person. And then you're in the game. Then you can contact them directly and then go from there. So that's a big tip that I've revealed to you about how to find good quality editors that specialize in books and ideally in your style of books. Now, I might just go a kind of specific here on you and give you some kind of terms, because I've been talking about how important editing is and you have to work with a good editor, but there are different types of editors. Okay, so what would normally happen is that I'm going to go through, two of them with you right now. There's a first called a content editor, then there's another one called a copy editor, and there's a few other ones as well, but I'm mainly going to talk about those, content and copy. So content is where you have somebody edit your book, and it's normally for non-fiction, but sometimes it can be fiction as well, that knows just as much about your subject as what you do. So if you have a book about, for example, physiotherapy, and it's about how to heal yourself from back pain, knee pain, leg pain, whatever. You want to get your book edited at the beginning by another person that's kind of in your industry, that knows as much about your topic or more about your topic than you do. What they're going to do is to make sure that your content is the right content, that you haven't made any mistakes, you haven't kind of got any words wrong, messed something up, not explained something clearly enough for people to actually get and to understand. So that's really important, to make sure the information is, the keyword here is accurate. You want to make sure that all the information there is accurate, so therefore you need to have a specialist. If you go to just an average editor, they're going to know nothing about all of the body parts and about how all the exercises work, so they're not going to know whether or not you've made a mistake or not. They're just going to think, well, you're the expert. If you've said it, then it's got to be right, and you may have made a mistake, okay? And then this is really important as well if you're doing any type of specific manuals. It could be on becoming a pilot, or about fly fishing, or even about if you've got a history book that's a fiction book and you're quoting certain things in history. Like, for example, this is caused a bit of controversy in the movie Jurassic Park, because they awakened animals from a particular period, but there were actually other dinosaurs from different eras that were in that same movie that shouldn't really have been there, that other not historians, because we're now talking about kind of way back, but other geologists said that stuff wasn't actually accurate, that there are things which are said which are actually not true. So therefore you want to have, first of all, a content editor, and then of course later on you've got a content editor. Start again. You've got a content editor, which is what I've just been talking about, and then you've got a copy editor. So we've explained what a content editor is, and then you've got a copy editor. Now, sometimes these people are one and the same. Other times you have to have two different people if you've got a topic area which is quite specialized and requires some research or some type of technical knowledge. But the copy editor is the person that goes through and makes sure that the sentences are structured correctly, and make sure that they're the full stops in the right places, that the paragraphs have been introduced at the right time, that the chapters kind of end where they should, or maybe break things up into chapters if they feel that it is necessary. They'll be the ones that will make sure that there's no grammatical mistakes that have slipped through, where you haven't got American spelling in one place and then British or Australian spelling in a different place of the book. All of that is the role of the actual copy editor. So it's not really going to change the content and the accuracy of the content. They're relying on you to make sure that you've already done that, or another editor has done that, but then they're actually going to do the copy to make sure that it's correct, okay? So I've probably come to the end of this video. I'm going to continue it again with another video in just a few moments time to kind of bring this home and wrap this section up, where we're talking about editing. Really important. This is where a lot of people make some big mistakes, like I was mentioning before. So now that you know this knowledge, it should make it much easier for you to make sure you get the right editing, so you create the right book and you get the most amount of success that you can. This is Dale Beaumont. Leave us your comments if you've got something you want to add, or if you work with an editor who's fabulous and you want to share that person's name or contact information with their permission, of course, then go to getpublishedtv.com, leave it in the comments section, and we'll be able to share some ideas here. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again next time.